Hi, my name is Tom, and I'm a physiotherapist and osteopath. If you're a health-conscious parent, you're going to want to see this video because I'm going to talk about a worrying situation, namely the rise of chronic disease and chronic disease risk factors among children. When we talk about non-communicable diseases or lifestyle-related diseases, we usually think about adults or older people suffering from them. But unfortunately, over the past decade, we've seen an increasing prevalence among children and adolescents. Some non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, are congenital. This means that the children are born with the disease, while others are acquired and associated with lifestyle-related risk factors. In the top 5, mental health issues, including depression and anxiety disorders, are by far the most prevalent NCDs among children. Almost 1 in 10 children suffers from a mental health disorder. Chronic respiratory disorders are ranking second, with allergic rhinitis and asthma as the most common preventable conditions in children. About 5% of the children under the age of 10 suffers from asthma, 4% of the children between 10 and 20 years of age. Childhood asthma is also a major determinant of chronic respiratory issues during adulthood. The third rank is occupied by pediatric cardiovascular disease that has a prevalence of almost 5.5%. Rheumatic heart disease is the most common pediatric heart disease. It's called by rheumatic fever as a reaction to common throat infections. Number 4 is childhood diabetes, with an overall prevalence of approximately 0.35% and a prevalence of around 1% in children between 15 and 19 years of age. The majority of cases is type 2 diabetes, which is a preventable disease. The last place of this infamous top 5 is occupied by cancer. Overall, 0.23% of the children will develop a type of cancer before the age of 20. This is, as you can imagine, the disease that results in the highest number of childhood deaths. Now, although these diseases can be the result of genetic predisposition, very often they are associated with modifiable and preventable risk factors. NCDs in adulthood are often connected to behavioral risk factors that are developed early in life, and approximately 2/3 of early adult deaths are related to habits formed during adolescence. So as you can see, prevention should start at an early age. Especially because the latest research shows that over the past 10 to 15 years, there has been a drastic increase in the prevalence of these risk factors among children and adolescents. Very often, multiple risk factors occur in clusters, and in that way have an even greater impact on our health. In a recent study, the authors looked at the presence of clusters of the following risk factors in children and adolescents between the age of 11 and 17 years all over the world. Insufficient physical activity, sedentary behavior, insufficient fruit and vegetable consumption, carbonated soft drink consumption, fast food consumption, tobacco use, alcohol consumption, and overweight or obesity. Worldwide, the occurrence of 4 or more NCD risk factors clustered together rose from 14.8% during the period of 2003 to 2007 to 44% in the period of 2013-2017, so marking an approximate tripling in the time span of a decade. And comparable patterns were noticed for the presence of 3 and 2 risk factors as well. Insufficient fruit and vegetable consumption, insufficient physical activity, sedentary behavior, and overweight or obesity were the most prevalent risk factors. In more than 36% of the countries, these clusters of 4 or more risk factors occur in more than 50% of the adolescents. You can imagine the consequences for their health during adulthood. According to another study, another important risk factor that is on the rise in children is metabolic syndrome. The characteristics of metabolic syndrome are abdominal obesity, high blood pressure, high blood fat levels, and an elevated fasting blood glucose level. Now, people with metabolic syndrome have a high chance to develop cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. The increased prevalence we see in children is disturbing, especially because only a small part of this can be explained by genetic factors. For the most part, again, it has to do with preventable behavioral risk factors, including a sedentary lifestyle, obesity, poor dietary habits, sleep disturbances, and a vitamin D deficiency. All these risk factors contribute to a metabolic disturbance called low-grade systemic inflammation, which is considered to be the driver of the majority of chronic diseases. Governments and health organizations all over the world try to implement prevention programs through schools and community centers, but it has proven to be difficult. The fact is that prevention starts with you, the parents. Although this might seem a daunting task, it's a matter of being well informed and knowing how to implement lifestyle changes into your family life. If you want to know how to get the tools to prevent your children from long-term illness, sign up for my online class by clicking the link below. It's 100% free, no strings attached. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.